Welcome to this briefing on the state of the climate in California. We will discuss the overall drought, including water supply, precipitation, and temperature. Here's a look at the latest drought conditions across our region, specifically Southern California. You can see that most areas are in the D3, D4. That's the red and the dark red. How does it look since the past couple years? Well, in 2015, the drought was more widespread across the western United States in terms of areas that it covered. And back in 2014, as shown on the right, pretty much the entire state of California was in the D3 or D4, which is the most extreme portion of the drought. Now, there has been some progress, and we'll discuss a little bit of that in the next few slides. Here's a look at the water supply across the state of California. In the blue is the reservoir current storage. Also note that the historical average is shown in red. Most of our reservoirs in the northern portion of California, the large reservoirs, are anywhere from 60 to 75% of capacity, and several of them are now running below historical average, for the exception of Shasta Reservoir, which did receive and benefited most from the precipitation in 2015 and 16. Now, how about in the southern portion of California? Current water supply at the Diamond Valley Reservoir, the largest we have in far southern California, is near 60% of its capacity. Some of these smaller reservoirs are indicated as well, which they are anywhere from 50% of capacity up to 80% of capacity, as shown here. Now, in the San Diego region, we do have a local water supply. It only makes up for about 15% of usage, however. This local water supply is sitting at about 44% of capacity, as shown here, which is up slightly from last year. How did we do for precipitation in 2015 and 16? Well, as you may recall, precipitation fell well short of expectations and in fact was below normal. Here's a depiction of precipitation across all of Southwest California, so the LA Basin down to San Diego, the coastal climate, and part of the inland areas as well. On average, received only about 11 inches of precipitation. The normal, as shown here, is about 17.5 inches of precipitation. Some of the other El Nino years are also shown on this plot, and you can see those were significantly higher, except 65 to 66. Some of the wettest years on record in our region happen to not be El Nino years, even though 97, 98, 82, 83 do make the top of the list as shown here. And you can see there has been some severely dry years, quite a few, below 10 inches of average precipitation in our climate region. How about precipitation in the past 36 months? You can see the deficit here in red. This is the percent of normal precipitation, so compared to what you should get in those regions. So this does take into account terrain and other factors that go along with precipitation. In our region, you can see most areas are in the 50 to 70% of normal, and even a little bit lower as you go up near Point Conception. So a very dry period for most of California, especially central and southern, over the past 3 years, since 2013 shown here. Now here's a plot of the precipitation over the past 36 months for our climate area of Southwest California. You can see the most recent 3-year consecutive period of 36 months. We are about 2 feet of precipitation below what we should have received. It's not the driest period, which actually is 2012 to 15. And you have to go back to 1958 to 61 to see the next driest period, where our region received about 2 feet of precipitation less than it should for a normal period. Now let's talk a little bit about temperature. Temperature is very important in its role in evaporation and stress, and ultimately making drought worse. Across our region, the temperatures have been very warm, but take a look at this map here. In March 2016, every climate location in the United States, lower 48, was above normal. That's the first time that's ever happened, as shown here. Let's take a look at our region on a time series. You can see across our region, temperatures have never been this warm before. The average temperature, if you like number values, has been 63.2 degrees. That's over 4 degrees above normal during that span. That's a large number over this region, and you can see this data goes back all the way to about 1900. A lot of recent spans, especially the current span, with record warmth. That's what's making this drought so unusually severe. Now, across the West, and specifically California, over the past 36 months, we have seen, since 2013, very warm conditions, some areas averaging several degrees above normal. Specifically in our area, you can see over that 3-year span, we've averaged 2 to 3 degrees above normal. That's quite a large number when you consider how long-term that average is throughout a 3-year period. Let's take a look at recently how things have gone. June, July 2016, this is typically when we have our monsoon season, which spills into August and September. Now, on the left-hand side, temperatures have continued to be above normal. We've had at least a couple severe heat waves, one in June and one in July. And overall, temperatures continue to run above normal most places, very close to normal on the coast. Now, what about precipitation? Normally, we don't see much precipitation in coastal California, as shown here. But here's the precipitation on the right-hand side compared to what it normally should be. And you can see our mountains and deserts have been very dry. This is the time of year where we start seeing precipitation in those areas from what we call the monsoon. But the monsoon's been on the very weak side of things, at least so far. Another factor in our temperatures is the ocean temperatures. Oceans are very effective at absorbing heat. Now, across our region, as shown here, water temperatures have been running very much above normal, several degrees, as shown here in the red. And here's some facts. The average temperature in La Jolla in July averaged 72 degrees. If you went swimming, you noticed that. There was a peak towards the end of the month of 77 degrees Fahrenheit. You can see on here, this is an anomaly map, and this indicates that water temperatures, not only in the California Bight, but west and south of our region, there is a large area of very warm waters, much above normal compared to what they should be. Keep in mind, these are anomalies, so departure from normal. Global ocean temperatures. Well, it's not just our region. Over the past 36 months, we have not seen a period where ocean temperatures have been warmer than what we're observing now. That includes all of our oceans, and specifically the Pacific Ocean's been running very warm compared to normal. And that's been a trend over the past 3 decades. If you want to look at more information about the maps and data that I showed here, here is a list of resources for you, including the drought monitor, all the precipitation, water supply maps, as well as the temperature plots for the ocean and the land. Hope you enjoyed the presentation.